Welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. I'm Larry.
And I'm Vince,
Welcome to the show.
where we talk all things cryptid,
Sasquatch,
aliens,
hauntings.
and anything paranormal you would like to share with us.
You can reach us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
So settle in, open your mind, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to Cryptid Crossroads. We're back doing it once again. Hey, Vince, give him a shout out.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I am doing it via satellite, as they say on TV. Not really satellite, but I'm calling in because I still have a little bit of health issues, so I played it safe and I stayed home.
That's right. He's chasing too many aunties out there.
Yep, I don't know if I'm getting older. They're just getting faster.
I think they're getting faster. And we also got Tater joining us tonight. Tater, give him a shout out.
Hello, everybody out there in Cryptid Crossroads 505 Radio Land.
All right. So
You know, we're kind of on the dry side today, but if Tater wants to do the shot for us, that
that's
would
right.
be okay.
That's right. If you want to give,
I have a shot of Fireball right here. If you don't mind me taking one, I'll do it.
that's right. You're going
Do
to
it for us.
give a toast out to our fans. Tater's going to shout it out to you. Go for it.
Cheers to everybody out there in Cryptid Crossroads 505. Good to you.
All right.
And just FYI, Tater, we don't say Fireball because we don't want to get sued. That's Sasquatch here, and
That's right.
Okay, that's what that was. Then use the radio to edit that one.
yeah, that's why it burns.
That's all right. We're good. All right. So I finally watched that documentary that you two watched, the one, Don't Call Me Bigfoot.
Yeah,
And that was probably one of the better documentaries I've seen in a while because it was well done.
right. And there was a lot of good information in that.
That's right.
None of the they smoke chokeweed and they sit around and sing.
Right. Yep. So what'd you
Is
find?
that in reference to something there?
What was that?
Is that in reference to some other
Yeah, it's the one we
area there?
Yeah, the one. No, that was the one we watched when we were originally going to do this podcast. They had that guy from the Haymans talking about the tunnels, and that lady in there, that lady that says they use chokeweed because she told them she eats seaweed, and their magic herb is chokeweed.
Right.
No, I know what you're talking about. I didn't know if that was a shot at your brother there.
No, we just laugh at it because our thing is somebody like that kind of ruins the credibility. Now this is just our point of view. The credibility, because according to her, they could make fire in caves and they get stoned.
Right.
Yeah, she was out there quite a ways, so in my eyes, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and she said it on another documentary. So on this previous documentary where we first seen it, this is the second time she said it. She said that they communicate with them telepathically, and they notify them when they're in the woods, and she's like, and they told me they smoke chokeweed around the fire. I'm like, so now you're pushing the envelope, saying that Sasquatch has the ability to create fire.
Yeah,
Right. And not only that, she said she learned how to talk to the Sasquatch. The aliens taught her.
Right. And she said that. Yeah. She said it in this video too. I'm like, what does she call them? Her star friends or?
Yeah.
I think she's been smoking too much herself, but
Yep. Or not enough. I don't know.
whichever way you want to look at it. But
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so one of the interesting things that I thought that they brought out was, how they pinpointed that these creatures are like all over the world, and we hear that they are from like different cultures, different stories, but I think they are ancient, like they kind of said, and they crossed the land bridge just like Homo sapien and Neanderthal man, and before the land separated, because according to science, and depends on who you talk to in geography, all the landmass was at one time connected, and then it slowly started just separating over millions of years, they say.
Right. And they say that the people crossed it following the animals, the food source.
Right. So,
but they said that, and they also said that man and Homo sapien, or not Homo sapien, but is it Gigantopithecus?
right.
Or no, I'm thinking Neanderthal. They side by side crossed it, and Gigantopithecus was close in that range. So they don't know. They don't know because they really don't know what Bigfoot is.
Right.
But they had some interesting theories about crossing the land bridge and how the Bigfoot may have crossed also, following the food. And the point I like that one of them made was how the further north you go, the bigger they get. And he made his point with coyotes being much bigger in Alaska,
Right.
the bears being much bigger. So, and that's one thing we talked about is over there, kind of like the fishbowl theory. The more room you give them, the bigger they get.
Right. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Tater?
Anything to add?
No, I was just listening to you. That was interesting to me as well. That the guy put that out there. That at first look, when I first started watching the documentary, at first glance, I looked at the guy and thought, this guy's probably never even been out in the woods. But then I started listening to his knowledge that he had, and I was like totally blown away that, okay, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows his shit. And then I believe his mother's blood, an anthropologist or
Yeah, because he grew up in the forest with her.
right, exactly. So, I mean, those were, he was raised out there with her, I'm sure. So the guy was just spot on. Well, both of them were, but the one guy just kind of blew me away, like you were talking about, and how they were more aggressive in certain places also. So
Right.
that was
Right.
interesting too.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and I've heard that story, and we've touched base on that many times, because in the Pacific Northwest, they say it's hit or miss with them being aggressive. But if you listen to a lot of the stories from down, like he was saying, down south in like East Texas, Texarkana, and the Big Thicket, they're pretty aggressive, and they'll charge you out. They throw sticks, rocks.
Right, and there's been, there's no solid proof, but there's been stories of people disappearing. They find their clothes or a shoe up in the tree.
Right.
So, yeah, in the Pacific Northwest, they say, oh, they won't hurt you, they're just curious. And somewhere else, they might rip your head off.
Right.
Right. That was another. Well, I think I sent you guys a text about the Bigfoot encounters in the Pacific Northwest that I've seen on TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that, I don't know if you guys either one of you had a chance to watch that one, but it wasn't as far as a bunch of new information. It was just kind of like you're saying, it was hit or miss up there, whether you got any activity or not. You guys go out there with these big camera crews and stuff, you're not going to get much activity. You're going to be some of the time by yourself, or like you guys go, just the two of you, but
Right.
you're going to get some activity. So, in my opinion, anyway. So.
Right.
Right, and when we go out there, it's usually just us two. We've had a couple occasions where we take more, but that's rare. But I don't know, my theory is you go out there and you just do your thing, but we get out where there's nobody around us. And if you're out there doing your thing, then they'll come in to check you out. But I don't believe you could run through the forest and find them, because they'll hear you coming a mile away and they'll avoid you.
Of course.
You're not going to sneak up on them,
Right, I don't believe so. And if you do, I believe it's an accident on their part.
Right, exactly. And one thing on that Don't Call Me Bigfoot, they were talking about Todd Standing as far as, they were going to kind of saying if he could get that close up of a video of a face, why not wait for the body to come out so you can get the whole picture? I thought that made good sense to me too, as far as, kind of debunking his video that he had posted.
Right, and there's a lot of controversy when it comes to Todd Standing stuff. I thought he got some pretty good videos. They say that his Bigfoot has the same proportions as a human,
Right.
but I've seen breakdowns where they measure it, and the ones I saw did not have the same proportions as a human. The nose and the lips are further, the eyes are set differently.
Right. And if you watch his documentary, toward the end of it, when he says that he thinks it was the male, but he's peeking like through under the stump, that one looks totally like an ape, like a chimpanzee. It's all black
Right.
skin. So
And to fake it like that, he's got to have some cash, because he had to have those. If it is a mask, he had to have it custom made without anybody knowing.
right.
Because I've never heard anyone come forward and say, "Oh, I made that," or "I was in it."
Yeah.
Like people try to do with the Patterson Gimlin.
Right. That's a big box office budget doing that, and I don't think he had that. And his
No.
his purpose wasn't really fame and fortune. He was really an advocate to try to get him as a
Protection.
protected species. Yeah. It wasn't about money, but I'm sure he made money.
Right. Now, what just popped into my head? How far along would we be if our mom was an anthropologist instead of a good cook making us fat?
Right.
Just a thought,
Good. Hey, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
We'd be talking about your documentaries now instead of
Right.
what we watch. So.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Now, last night, I just want to throw this out there because it was, I saw a movie. It wasn't about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but it had two people who have been involved in the field. You remember from the skunk ape, what was his name? Something, Stacy Brown Jr.? He was in it, remember, in the skunk ape documentary?
Right. Oh, yeah.
And Les Stroud were in it. And they're supposed to be old military buddies. They're going camping, and they fell into a pit in the forest. And it just gets funky because they can't get out. They've been there for weeks. They start fighting. They knock each other out. It starts with one of them cuts off the other one's foot. Then the other one cuts off his fingers and eats them. And then they start hallucinating. It was... one of them finally got out. I'm gonna ruin it for you because I don't recommend watching it.
Okay.
But I watched it just because who was in it. But it was a waste of an hour and a half.
That you'll never get back.
Right.
Right. Good thing I'm here 24/7 with nothing to do.
Then I definitely won't watch that one.
Yeah, unless you want to torture yourself because it's like horrible acting, horrible.
I can imagine.
We could probably do better, the three of us.
Oh, I'm sure. Some people just don't have any talent. I don't know what to say about that. But
Yeah.
what can you say?
Anyway, back to the Squatch. Yep, back to the Squatch.
That's right. So
Now, we never... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
what's that?
No, I was going to say that because of what happened to me, we haven't been able to get out at all. But,
Oh, I know.
man, I've been sitting here itching to get up to the mountains.
Yeah. No,
But I don't think my crutches or cane will do me much good up there. We'll have to burn them for firewood.
So here's one point that I brought up. That the one gentleman that his mom was an anthropologist. He was real knowledgeable, but he kind of he frowned upon like doing wood knocks and howls and like squatch calls because he feels that if you're going to chase anything away in the forest, that's going to do it. And he made a good point that most people that have had encounters weren't doing that. They were just minding their business, sitting there quiet, and lo and behold, they had an encounter.
Right, but the first time when I was with the kids and I had my encounter, they were goofing around hitting trees. They would hit it once. I see these people try to do wood knocks, and it's like they're playing a bongo drum. They
Right.
pound the hell out of it.
Right.
And now, when I had my encounter and that male was leaving, he was doing wood knocks, but he was only doing one.
Ah.
So that's why I think maybe they're doing it wrong. I think if you do it right, it might mean something different to them.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of knocks that they're used to or accustomed to that, like you say, make sense, or how they communicate, or however it is that they, associate those with. So,
Right.
Three knocks means, something's coming in the, whatever or whatever, if there's a scout out there or something like that. But there's probably a code to speak up, but yeah, these guys, like you're saying, Vince, to get out there and just beat the hell out of a tree, then it's not going to help or bring anything in usually. So
Right. And I know for a fact that they tree knock because I've heard it myself. But also, like you were saying, the scouts, when we were out, we hiked up that hill, where we camp, and we didn't hear tree knocks, but we heard what sounded like rocks clacking together.
Right.
and then when I had my encounter up there in Wheatfield, it was pre-knocks that I heard. That was the first initial thing that I heard. That it was in a circle, so there was obviously there was two of them communicating or more, whatever it was. But yeah, it wasn't like 3 or 4 knocks at a time. It was just a 1 or a 2 at the most. So
Right.
but it was one of the loudest things I've ever heard in my life. So I don't.
Now when you
I
had
remember like it was yesterday. So
right now when you had your encounter, like me, when I finally figured out, I put 2 and 2 together in my mind. I thought, is this really happening? Were you kind of like that?
yeah, I did have a hard time processing, and I was the only one up. It was the middle of the night, so it was one of those trying to figure out, for one, what the animals were, or the dogs that I heard were so anxious about, or trying to figure out what they were after. And then the knocks I heard in it, and then I just started processing in my head. It's probably what can make that sort of noise in the forest. The only conclusion I could come up with was a Bigfoot, something
Right.
like a hand that could beat up against a tree that big. So
Right, something that could pick up a tree or a branch.
right, exactly, and make that sort of sound that loud that it did take me a while, like you're saying. It took a while to process of, okay, what the hell am I hearing? Am I losing my mind? Am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? Or
Right, yeah.
yeah, it's one of those you hit, and then you're like, okay, well, nobody else can even talk to it. I hated to hear that. Or in your encounter, you had your son there, so you had your kids, but you had your son there to talk to at first. So
Yeah,
I
but
didn't have that. I was just trying to process in my own head what the hell I was hearing. So
right, but he's still on the fence because he's still not sure what we heard. He's not into the Sasquatch like we are. I mean, we've researched it. We've heard what other people have recorded, and well, not only that, we've been up in the forest. I'm sure you have, Tater, your whole life going camping, fishing, whatever. So
right.
you know the normal sounds of the animals around here, and we know the animals in our area, and just to hear something different, that's what took us so long to process, because we're like, wait a minute, what is this? It's like being right. It's like being in consumer's math and somebody hands us an algebra test.
Right.
Wait a minute, what's going on?
yeah, exactly. So
I may or may not be speaking from my own experience, but I won't say.
Well, they brought up another good point. I like how they touch base on Ron Moorhead's Sierra sounds, and how when they also had them analyzed, and when we watched the documentary where they analyzed them, they did say that there's like two sets of vocal cords, because as they do their what's called samurai chatter or whatnot, they're hitting high and low octaves at the same time, and that's just not capable with humans. So
Right.
there's another piece of evidence that says there's a creature out there that can do this when it makes whenever they communicate. And they've all come to agree that it's a form of communication, because if you listen to the Sierra sound, they are talking to each other.
Right, and like I said, when I had mine, the male was speaking, and it wasn't like samurai chatter, but it was like if you hear a caveman grunting and moaning on TV, that's exactly what it sounded like.
On the Sierra sound, that's one encounter I have always had a hard time finding, like the whole entire, 10 different clips or something, videos or something like that. It's like a series, right, of something. There's quite a few of them, right, if I'm not mistaken, or
No, they're just recordings that Ron Moorhead
I
did.
know they're recordings. I've heard clips of it, but I have a hard time finding that. Every time I go to search for it and go down, YouTube or whatever I want to look through, that one seems like it's hard to find. I don't know if they've taken some of them down, or sometimes things are hard to find. That's one that I do have a hard time finding.
So,
right, and YouTube does take stuff down.
Yeah, and there is like a, I want to say it's not a documentary, but it's more of a symposium where they do talk about Sasquatch and these Sierra sounds, and Ron Moorhead's the one spearheading it, and he gives all the explanations. I'll see if I can find that, and I'll send you the link, and you will hear the full audio that he has. And he shows footage of the campsite, of how they built it, what it looked like. He explains how they built the little shelter that they would put themselves in at night when these things came around. It's just crazy what they experienced. Was like, man, I don't know. I would probably put a load in my pants.
Right, and he also talks about the other things they experienced at that campsite.
Right.
Like he said, there was I don't know how do you describe it? Like a light shaped like a sword, just floating through the camp.
Right.
Just some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Vince, you had talked, I don't know if we've talked about it on tape or anything about, what was that show called, American Bigfoot? Is that what it was called?
Or Alaskan Bigfoot?
Alaskan Bigfoot.
Yeah, Alaskan Killer Bigfoot, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, Larry, did you get a whole season in on that one?
I did. You know what? I had heartburn when they brought out that big old smoke machine and they started just
the Ghostbusters thing?
yeah. I said, okay, now you just ruined it.
Right, and then
the fire starting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just come on now.
Yep, and then the laser grid. Oh, it walked right in front.
Right.
Come on, dude.
I guess I lost it on that one.
Yeah.
And then they brought out the psychic and did their peace offering. And hey, everything's all right. Bring the family.
Right.
Yeah, come on down now.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a little rough. It started out really good, but toward the end, I'm like, did you guys run out of material?
Or they were ready for trying to get some ratings in there or something. Whatever they were trying to do.
I think, they were trying to get some ratings in, but it's sometimes they just take it too far, and it's like, come on now.
Yeah, and some scenes they were a little too over dramatic.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hey, Larry, you were coming down this way, I believe it was last weekend,
Yeah.
for a wedding. Did you happen to stop in Radiant Springs?
I did not, because I did see the sign, and I said, next time I'm down there, I'm going to have to go to Radium Springs. I got an email from Mr. Smith. He hasn't been out there. I think they were going to try and go this weekend. He was involved in an accident and he's having some whiplash. And so he said, you know, he was out of commission for a while, but he shot me an email last week sometime last week, I think Wednesday, saying that he's going to try and get out there this weekend. So I told him just keep us posted. And, you know, he seems to think that they come down from the mountain. I've never been to Radium Springs, but just from what he's saying, I'm going to have to go check it out.
I don't know if you can kind of tell from the highway, you can kind of see the mountain that he's probably referring to, but it doesn't look that, I don't know if the right word is, dense maybe, or...
Right. It's...
yeah, so the way that I got a hold of these prints was a coworker named Bob it was his son-in-law that works on this farm and came across these prints. So that's what I'm in reference to as far as trying to bring everybody up to snuff what I'm even referring to. So
right.
There's these prints that were sent to me that I forwarded on to you guys. So that's where they were taken. So
in Radium Springs?
Yeah, in Radium Springs.
Okay.
That's exactly where we're at. So.
Yeah. And, you know, I look and like I told Vince, you know, it doesn't have to always be forest because everyone knows that these animals, they don't stay put. They're not like a dog. They don't just stay in the yard. They travel. So I could see them, you know, using these mountains. And then the Oregon mountains, I'm sure that there's been some sightings or some activity up there. But, you know, I just think they travel. And like you see pictures of them walking through the desert on the Navajo reservation. So it's like, all right, well.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. We have a lot of sightings going through. I hear a lot from the res, and there's a lot of spots where there's not a tree in sight.
Right.
But like you said, I think they're passing through.
Right. And who knows why they go down that way or whatnot. But I guess, is there a river in it? Because he seems to think that they would come down to get water and then maybe head back up and on with their journey.
Yeah, Rio Grande runs right through there, so
okay.
That's the only river that runs through there. So,
and there could be some food source that migrates that way at certain times of the year. That's why they see them down there.
Could be.
Who knows? Or they could go like around this time to get a sack of green chili. You never know.
Right. Maybe they like green chili. But that's a good point because you know what species migrates from that area, and it goes every year down to Mexico and then back up. It's the mule deer. The mule deer migrate through those mountains, and they head down toward Mexico, and then they turn around and come back up as the weather changes, and so you know it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, hopefully Mr. Smith gets better soon, and he can head out that way. And Larry, when you're down again this way, we'll try to coordinate and meet you out there.
No, definitely.
Check out the area ourselves. So.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. If I would have had time, I would have loved to take in a little trip, but it was a quick trip for my daughter's wedding and then shot back home. But I would like to go out there and see what the fuss is all about. I mean,
yep.
You know, and he had sent me an article where this is like years ago, that it was in the El Paso Sun or something, and there was a little report about a sighting out there in that area. One right there. I think this one he referred to was kind of right there by the Trans Mountain area. And
right.
And I was like, okay. Yeah, because I go through Trans Mountain. Well,
when you went to Chaparral, is that where you went?
No. I used when my daughter lived in El Paso, but now that she lives in Chaparral, okay. I get off on Anthony and go around, you know. Yeah, that's the quickest way for me because once I get off on Anthony, Chaparral's just right there, like 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, when she did live there, and when I lived there, I was constantly going through, you know, Trans Mountain to get to the, you know, the west side and just running around, you know. But Yeah, I think just because it's a desert, I don't think we should rule out that they're not around there.
Right, I agree.
Have you ever been from El Paso to Carlsbad? You ever been that direction?
I have been.
So that's the part that I've always thought about. Kind of like Rio Doce, it's about that type of
Right. And
forest. But I don't know about water source. I didn't look enough and think about enough if there was a water source anywhere around that area. So.
right. Well, I would think there may be, they may be dry for a while, but like you said, once you get like toward up the Rio Doce area, and I would think that there's some water because there's a lot of wildlife up there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're always on the road and stuff, and I've been up there early in the morning or right before the sun comes up. You kind of watch out because they'll be right in the road. So.
Right. Yeah. Yep. No, it's very good. Very good. Yep. All right. Well, and we need to talk about anything more before we wrap it up, gentlemen?
No, but I think we could continue a part 2 next time.
We probably could because this documentary had so much. It was so full of information. I was like, you could probably break this in. You see how they were breaking it up? You could probably do one podcast per each section that they were talking about. But
right.
yeah, so we may have to continue on that subject. I've been looking on the internet, and man, it's like we're hitting a Sasquatch dry spell. I'm like, I'm not finding any new sightings or anything. People need to start getting back out there, or maybe we just do.
Well, yeah, we do for sure, but I think things are changing because there's a lot of fires all over the place, from
Right.
California all the way out here.
I know.
And in the east, they're having crazy ass flooding. So who
Right.
knows?
Right. So, and that's another theory. We could talk about what our theories are on, especially in floodings, like in Mississippi and Louisiana. They got the boogers down there, same thing. But what happens when it floods?
Right.
It's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, just a quick note, Larry. Did you guys? I was watching on this Tubi, one of the Tubi things about the Rougarou. Have you seen that where it's talking about they call like the skinwalker down in Louisiana the Rougarou?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. I haven't seen it either.
And so it actually starts talking about how a skinwalker came about. And I barely got into this trying to watch this episode, but there was 2 tribes that combined to take out a third tribe, and then they took to the dark magic and stuff and went to the dark side, and that's how they started with the shapeshifter and the Rougarou type thing, and it looks pretty interesting. So I'm gonna have to go back and do some more research on something like that. And
Right.
Yeah.
if there's any credibility to it, or if it's one of those types of things. So
Yeah, I know.
and
Right.
the gentleman Bob that I work with, he's originally from Louisiana, and I couldn't pronounce the word at first. I'm like, Riga, and it says the Rougarou. I'm like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he says, oh, hell yeah, I know what you're talking about. So I guess it's kind of like, an everyday word down there for people that live down there. So
Right.
maybe something for another time we can check out and then come back and discuss, if it's even worth discussing, if it's something that's halfway good or not. I'm not sure. I haven't done my homework yet. So.
Yeah, I know. Definitely. I'm going to have to check this out. It's on Tubi?
Yeah, I was on Tubi.
All right.
And what was it called?
It's called something about the Rougarou is what it's called. ROG. I'm going to spell it wrong. I know I am, but UR, whatever it is. I'll have to find it and send you guys a link. So.
All right. That'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, because I started watching it. I only got like 10, 15 minutes into the thing, and then something else came up, and I had to stop. So I'm going to have to get back in and finish it up. So, but I'll send you guys a link to it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Thanks for joining us, Tater. And
My pleasure, guys.
all right. Yeah. Hey, thanks for watching.
We hope all you YouTubers enjoyed the show.
That's right. And don't forget to reach out to us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
Peace.
Peace.